hallgattam majd a tanfolyamon, összecseréltem a jelenlétébe, és a jelenlétévet elhoztam, a program pedig ott maradt. Úgyhogy rögtönözni fogunk, hogy majd így nagyjából azért mindenki emlékszik, hogy körülbelül mikor következik. Szervusz Kriszta! Mindenki tudja, hogy miért gyűltünk össze, World Storytelling Day, a Nemzetközi Történetmondás napját, vagy mesemondás, erről is lehetne utána vitatkozni egy órát szerintem, hogy akkor ez most micsoda napját ünnepeljük, és meséket fogunk mondani egymásnak. Az eredeti terv az volt, hogy az első órában angolul fogunk mesélni, szerintem ezt a mesemondókra bízom, ugyanis ha jól látom, akkor egy olyan ember van itt, aki nem ért magyarul. Én mindenki... Józsikám.
Tanulok.
Még mindig nem jött.
Látod, akkor értettem.
Úgyhogy én mindenképpen angolul fogom elmondani a mesémet, de nagyon örülök mindenkinek, hogy itt van. Ugye ennek a évnek a témája a bölcs bolondok, vagy Wise Fools. Úgyhogy ahogy én láttam a programot, elég sok ilyen bolondos, bölcsös mesénk lesz. Ennek én nagyon örülök, remélem ti is. Szerintem csapjunk is bele, mert egy kis csúszásban vagyunk. Remélem, hogy még majd a magyar részre érkeznek többen, hát ha ezért vagyunk még kevesen. Ugye az első mesemondókat szeretném. Ja, és még egy érdekes tény, tehát hogyha ezt a mesemondó estet egy vacsoraként fogjuk fel, akkor a különlegesség és a gurmé falatka ebben az estben az a mini mese, ami itt több nyelven el fog hangzani. El lesz mesélve. El lesz mesélve először angolul, utána magyarul, mert ugye az angol részben még marad, és utána pedig még franciául, horvátul és halandzsául is.
Igen.
Úgyhogy nagyon érdekes lesz. De Jutka, ha kedvet kapsz, hogy a végén szerbül elmeséled, akár te is, akkor észtül is. Észtül is. A terem 10 óráig a rendelkezésre. Én azt szeretném, hogy ezt fogjuk fel egy ilyen baráti estként, érezzük jól magunkat, még az angol résznél is, hát fogjuk fel úgy, hogy tanulunk ebből valamit, hogy kísérletezés, vagy valami ilyesmi.
Együtt vagyunk.
Igen, így van, úgyhogy jó szórakozunk, jó mesemondás, első mesemondónk Kiss Ágnes, aki angolul fog mesélni, de szerintem senkinek nem kell Ágnes, úgyhogy hajrá! Hajrá, hajrá!
Tényleg angolul mondja, hogy kérdezem magam, mint régen, amikor angol tanárkoromban, vagy és akkor én voltam egyedül, aki beszéltem angolul, és nem magyar nyelv. Legalább valamennyire, de én. So I'm not a native speaker. No, there was once in the thriving land of the Hungarians, in the middle of the thriving land of the Hungarians, a little village, at the other end of which there was a poplar tree. And the poplar tree had 77 branches. And on the 77 branches of that poplar tree there were 77 tattered petticoats hanging. And the 77 tattered petticoats had 77 tucks each. And in the 77th tuck of the 77th tattered petticoat, there was sitting a flea. And it is from under the armpit of that flea that I took my tail, I'm going to tell you. And whoever does not listen to my tale will be bitten by that flea. There was once a poor man who had 12 sons. And the 12 sons, and since they were poor, the poor man could give nothing to eat to his sons. So he sent them out to the world to earn their bread and work for themselves and try their fortunes. And the 12 brothers wandered for 12 days and nights over hills and dales until they found a wealthy king. Your Majesty, we have come to find some service for ourselves. This is the right moment for you, because I need some grooms for my royal stud farm. You will be given 100 gold sovereigns for the year's service each. Among the horses there was a little ailing colt. There was a little ailing colt. Chico.
Jó.
There was a little
Azt hittem már kabát.
And the 11 elder brothers didn't like this ailing cold. Ailing meaning ill. Beteg.
Götös Chico.
Okay. That's it. So the 11 elder brothers didn't like the ailing colds and treated him ill and beat him up sometimes. Whereas the youngest brother loved the little ailing cold and spared breadcrumbs and all sorts of dainties for him, cared for him. The 11 elder brothers treated their youngest brother for a fool. Ah, you fool, they always told him. Why do you care for this ailing cold? There is no need, no help for this wretched creature. But the youngest brother didn't bother too much and bore very patiently this, all these offenses, just like the little ailing colds, the bad treatment. The 1 year service was over, and all the brothers got their 100 gold sovereigns from the king, and they were also allowed to choose a horse from the king's stud farm. The 11 elder brothers chose the best looking horses, the finest mares and studs. Whereas the youngest brother, you might find out, he chose the little ailing colts. The other brothers told him, "Ah, you fool, we told you, don't do that. There is no help for that wretched creature. Why don't you listen to wise talk?" As they were going home, the 11 elder brothers were proudly jumping and prancing with their fine horses, whereas the youngest one was dragging was just dragging the little ailing colt by the halter all along the way. And after a while they got to a boggy place, a moorland. And the little ailing horse sank into the mud. Moorland, like one? Moorland. Yeah, very good. And the little ailing colt sank into the mud. "My dear brothers, help my little ailing colt." The other brothers were very angry because they were far ahead. They had to return and help their brother. "We told you. You didn't listen. You didn't listen to wise talk. But since you are our brother, we'll help you." Then they went on, and after a little while, the little ailing colt sank into the mud again. "My dear brothers, help my little ailing colt. We have told you. You didn't listen. Since you are our brother, we'll help you this time, but no more." And as they were going on, for the third time, the little ailing colt sank into the mud again. "My brothers, please help my little ailing colt." "You didn't listen. We told you." "You didn't listen to reason. So, as you make your bed, so you must lie in it." And the other brothers just left. However, the little ailing stud jumped out of the mud and started to speak. "Just don't bother about it, my dear master. They don't know that I am a magic charger." Yeah, mount on my, and a little ailing colt, did a somersault over the head and turned into the finest horse one could ever imagine. Did a garabuska over the head and turned into the finest horse you could ever wish for. And mount on my back, my dear master, and we'll be home in a second. And the colt rushed off as lightning and leaving the others behind. When they got home, the colt became weak and ill again, and crawled on a dung heap and was eating the straw he could find there. And the youngest brother himself hid behind the oven. When the elder brothers came home, they bragged about their money, their wages, and the fine horses to their father. Yeah, my boys, it does credit to you. However, where have you left your youngest brother? Oh, he became a fool. We told him not to choose the ailing colt, but he did so. And on the way home, the little colt sank into the mud and remained there. It's probably dead by this time. Here I am. Sprang up the youngest brother, to the astonishment of all. But the 12 brothers spent some time at their father's house. But after a while they decided to go out to the world again to find some wives for themselves. 12 brothers from one father and one mother are destined to have 12 sisters from one mother and one father as brides. So the 12 brothers were wandering for 12 days and 12 nights over hills and dales, but they couldn't find 12 sisters until one evening at sunset they came across an old iron-nosed hag who was ploughing her field with her 12 mares. How come you are here? You're wandering here in this distant place, my lads, where even a place that even birds avoid. Well, we are trying to find wise brides for ourselves, for the 12 of us. And you are in the right place, because I myself have 12 daughters. Then show us the way. Then the old iron-nosed hag drove the horses, the 12 mares, home, stabled them, and led the 12 boys, the 12 lads, into the house. In the room, at the table, around the table, there were sitting 12 beautiful girls, beautiful lasses. They were not other than the 12 mares they had seen before. And all of them were just beautiful girls, but the youngest one, who had golden hair, was the most beautiful of them all, and she was the favorite of the old iron-nosed hag.
What was her name?
Her name was Fairy Helen. Helen Fairy. Okay. So Helen, Helen was the favorite of the old iron-nosed hag. Well, my daughters, treat these lads dinner and good wine. So the old iron-nosed hag talked to her daughters in front of the lads. But the this was not the way she talked to them behind their back. My daughters, treat these lads well. However, fear not, because they will not leave the house alive. In the evening, the old iron-nosed hag prepared the beds for the lads, and made them lie on the bed outside, and also made her daughters lie next to the wall inside. And the eldest daughter lay next to the eldest brother, and the youngest one, Helen Fairy, lay next to the youngest brother. And their glances entangled at once, and love arose in their hearts at first sight. So Helen told the lad, "My dear beloved, my mother wants to take your lives. When your brothers fall asleep, she will come with a huge sword and cut off the heads of all of them." On hearing this, the youngest brother got up and went to the beds where his brothers and the lasses and the girls were fast asleep, and lay his brothers next to the wall, leaving the girls outside, lying outside. And then he went back to bed. After a little while, the old iron-nosed hag got up, took a huge sword, went to the beds and cut off the head of the sleepers who were outside, 8 of them, with one smite. And then, job done, she went back to bed. When the youngest brother saw this, he got up again and went to wake his brothers. Wake up, my brothers! Your lasses are dead. Look, they are dead. Flee from here." And so they hurried off. And at dawn, before the old iron-nosed hag got up and went to see the beds, the youngest brother mounted on his horse, on his little colt, taking Helen Fairy with her golden hair with him on the saddle. When the old iron-nosed hag found out about the fraud, she got furious, and she reached out for a poker, turned it into a horse, and started to ride after the young couple. And almost caught them. But the little colt turned back. "My little master, I'll give you a currycomb." "I'll give you a currycomb, and when you feel heat on your back, just throw it behind." And as the old iron-nosed hag was approaching, the young lad could feel heat on his back and threw the currycomb behind. And in the time of a blink of an eye, it turned into a huge forest with as many trees as there were teeth in a comb. And by the time the old iron-nosed hag could break her way through the huge forest, the two young ones could travel quite a distance. But then she rode fast to catch them up. And the little colt turned back to his master. My dear master, I will give you a halter. When you feel heat on your back, just throw it behind. As the old iron-nosed hag was approaching, the young lad could feel heat on the back and threw the halter behind. Halter, contact side. And the halter, in the time of a blink of an eye, it turned into a wide river with water as deep as the sea. By the time the old iron-nosed hag could swim across the river, the two young ones traveled quite a distance. But the old iron-nosed hag rode fast and almost caught them. And then the little colt turned back again. My little master, my dear master, I give you a horse rug. Horse rug? Horse rug, lópokrót. Lószőnyeg, lórongyszőnyeg. A lópokrót. So a horse rug. When you feel heat on your back, just throw it behind. As the old iron-nosed hag was approaching, the young lad could feel heat on his back and threw the horse rug behind. And in the time of a blink of an eye, it turned into a high mountain, such a high mountain that the peak scraped the skies. That high. And the old iron-nosed hag was trying to climb the mountain, but couldn't do that, no matter how fiercely she did that. And then she turned into a pigeon to fly over it. At that moment, the little colt did a garambucka, a somersault over the head, and turned into a vulture and swooped down on the pigeon and tore it into pieces with the claws. And then, when the 11 elder brothers were still out in the world trying to find a suitable wife for themselves, the two young ones, the youngest brother and Helen fairy with the golden hair, celebrated such a fine wedding that it was talked of in over 7 times 7 countries. And such has been their happiness ever since that no one could think of better, unless they died in the meanwhile. May they curl themselves into a nutshell, paddle downstream Kukulu River, and be your guest tomorrow.